the third kind of close. What do you guys think this one is? And again, I've already talked about the three different, I gave you guys hints before. I said there was one type of close that involves the self, there was one that involves the other, and there was one that was imaginary. So what would this one be? Okay, no one's guessing it, that's all good. So this one is similar identity. Sim identity or example. Sim identity. So usually this one is where there is already someone similar to the person that you're talking to that they either know of or have an awareness of. So as an example, again, if someone was to sell me, they'd say, hey, listen, I know what it's like being 26, running a 50-person company and doing your first couple million revenue in a year. It's very intense, it's very stressful, it's very fast paced, but I helped Jack go from 1.5 million in a year to $1 million in a month, and he did it with this 3-step strategy that has worked for 10 agencies all at your size before. I know you're a busy man. That's why we talk to people like you, because we know you guys are busy and you guys are good decision makers. When is best for me to show you what we did for them? It shouldn't take more than 15 minutes. Even though I'm pitching myself, I actually feel influenced. As cringe as that sounds, I feel influenced by what I'm saying because I'm using primal law. It's primal law that you get to influence people when you're able to get the subconscious mind involved, because the subconscious mind is always listening. That's why self-talk is very important. We're not going to make this a personal development live stream today. Maybe next Friday we'll do a personal development about the importance of the subconscious mind. But guys, nearly every day, I am consciously trying to feed my brain positive things, because I understand the more positive, energetic, high vibrational I am, the more I can transfer it to my team, the more I can transfer it to clients as well. Okay? So I like similar identity. Here's an example of similar identity. So John at the towing company, yeah, listen, I respect what you're doing, and I know that you're old school and that you don't want to change it. A lot of people like to stick to the way that they do things. They don't like to, create new things because you don't want to mess up what I get that, I respect that. But can I tell you something? John down the street, you have 20 Google reviews, right? He has 150 Google reviews. Okay. Do you think that he gets more customers from having better social proof? If you don't, it's okay. It might not be. But I think that you might agree with me that him having 150 Google reviews is more effective than you just having 20. Or am I wrong? Okay, I'm right. Okay, cool. All I'm saying is that if you want to get to 150 Google reviews like this, you have to do this. You have to give it a shot. Worst case scenario is within 6 months, you end up at 70 Google reviews. But at least you're half of his, not a 10th of his. Fair enough? That's why similar identity is really important once you get a bit of leverage, because now you're using something that emotionally will move someone. You've already done the influence subconsciously because you've opened up a story without his permission. And the good thing about storytelling, guys, is you can steal permission. It's interesting. There's a lot of books and texts that talk about, whether people believe in gender roles or not, whatever. When you read about the way men and women interact, men tend to feel respected through love, feel loved through respect. Women tend to feel loved through, attention, nurturing, etc. But the interesting thing, right, about influence is stories supersede all of that. It just bypasses all of the rules and allows you to steal aggressively influence. If you look at the biggest content creators on earth, if you look at a Joe Rogan, if you look at, a Logan Paul, if you look at whoever, all these guys are doing is they're accessing multiple stories all the time. You get to hear Joe interview a famous politician. You get to hear him interview someone that captures wildlife. And that continual story looping keeps you engaged multiple ways, right? So how do we kind of weave this together? How do you kind of figure out which story type you should use? If you have nothing, you have no leverage and you're very new to business zero, you want to master. So I would say start with this one, number one. This is the first thing, anecdotal. You need to master your story. Again, I'll tell you guys the kind of story and this is what you want to do. If you're doing some sort of service business, have content examples of your anecdotal story. So again, what I would do when I was 22, 23, and I was trying to escape, like I said, the swamp of 15 to 25K a month, and then I spurred it to about $500,000. What took me there was I'll be okay, I'm gonna get pictures of me and my old property when I was 21. I'm gonna get pictures of me playing basketball in the States. I'm gonna get pictures of me injured. I'm gonna get pictures of me attending TED Talk events, looking like a skinnier kid, a bit more nervous at 18, 19 when I had no idea what I was doing. I collated those pictures, and then I was like, look, before we get started, can you tell me a bit about me? Okay, great. Well, look, I'm 22. I've been running this company for 3 years. I was currently at the time head of sales at a tech startup, and I showed them pictures. And then I play basketball at 18. Here I am now, team of 10, really good at what we do. Now let's get into it. Guys, it humanizes me, and it will humanize you as well. So you want to master your anecdotal story when you have nothing to offer. After that, I really, really like similar identity. And again, this is just the preferred order that I recommend for most of you guys watching. If you're a starter, salesperson, or like starting to use storytelling, I like similar identity second because once you have a bit of rapport, because remember, you want to continually keep them in their subconscious mind, because it's the subconscious mind, by the way, that gets them to say yes. Usually within the first 30 seconds to a minute, most females can actually usually decide, this is someone that, without sounding too brash, that I would say hook up with, or this is someone that I would put in long-term mating, or this is someone that I'm not interested in. Right now, there's going back to the topic, the reason why I'm mentioning that is because a lot of influence is done at the subconscious level, right? And that's when people judge you on your appearance, on your tonality. And again, today we're only covering storytelling. I'm not going to go over things like tonality, because we can go deep into tonality, DJ FM voices, upward inflections, all that stuff, NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. But storytelling, right? Similar identity. Once you've mastered this loop, that kind of gets them to like you. Similar identity now shows how you can help them, right? So you've done similar identity is now, this is you. These are all the people that are similar to you that are facing the problem that we solved. Do you want to be part of the solved group or the unsolved group? And then how you can end it with what I just said is the hypothetical. And you can use the close that I literally just gave you. There's two kinds of people. There's people that A, want to keep doing what they're doing so they can get the same result because you've been stuck at 50K a month for 5 years, which is fine. That might be more, 600 grand a year revenue. You might be doing 20% profit, take home 100 grand a year. You're happy. Maybe you're comfortable there. You can stay there. I respect that. But there is a portion of people that we do serve, and a portion of those people love to test things. So every year there's a cataclysmic jump. 1 year 600K, 1 year 800K, 1 year 1.6, 1 year 3.5, 1 year 5, 1 year 10. And we have clients that have made it to 9 figures. So look, if you're comfortable where you are, please, let's just keep in touch. I think you have a really cool personality, and I love you were able to bond over similar stories and that you know some of the clients that we work with. But if you're willing to take things to a new level, I'm also going to need you to commit to yourself, because it's going to be a lot of testing and it'll be a lot of fun, but it will be, more importantly, a lot of growth, because growth is what's required to get you to that next level. Fair enough? Guys, I literally just feel like I did a presentation right now. Okay? So those are the 3 main modes of storytelling that I like to use and my team likes to use when closing multiple deals. We're literally at a point, it's crazy. I'm so blessed, thank you God that I can say this. We're literally nearly closing, if not currently, a deal every single day, like during the work week. So like this month, we're probably going to close, I think we're going to close more than this, but anywhere between like 25 to like 30 deals. New clients, new MRR to be clear, right? So if we sustain that this year, then we're gonna hit some pretty cool numbers by the end of this year. Okay, any questions on what I've discussed today? We talked about the 3 types of storytelling, why storytelling is important. You have to influence the subconscious mind. Okay, the 3 types of storytelling in sales: anecdotal, hypothetical, similar identity. Do you guys have any questions? How do you know which shared values to talk about? Sure, really good question. When it comes to shared values, it's gonna sound a bit ironic. This is important, but that's not that important when trying to close a deal. Now, to be clear, if you are of similar values, that does help a lot in the anecdotal part to influence them. So for example, in the anecdotal part of you telling your story, you can show different facets of your personality, right? So this is what I would used to do. When I was coming up, like I said, doing a couple $100 grand a year with the business plus 120K per year plus corporate when I was 22, 23, what I would do is I'd show different parts of my story to show different parts of my personality to appeal to different people. So I'd show the basketball side, me going to the States, showing that I'm athletic, showing that I'm focused, that I'm diligent. I show the creative side. I showed at the time Corsair in its first year did like 1 billion views, crazy. I showed that I can be a bit more creative, a bit more sensitive, a bit more emotionally intelligent. I showed that I used to play music growing up. A lot of people don't know that. I grew up playing music, guitar, piano, trombone. I used to sing and write my own music and win awards at 10. People don't know that. So I show the discography of my personality, and then I go back into the business stuff. And I'm like, that's why I'm your best option. Put the business aside. I get you. But it's not about trying to forcefully relate to their personality or the values. You want to show a wide array of traits because they might not like some of the traits that you think are good. They might like other traits that you have as well. Can you share stories about being alike when someone's unsure or skeptical? Sure. Oh, that's every day. That's every sales call, right? So for example, if someone is like, I like to take my time when making decisions, I'm like, I love that. I love that so much. And I compliment, I never try to disagree with them intentionally. I love that you like to take your time because taking time means you're thorough, you're meticulous, and you make good decisions. I respect that. You know, I'm actually similar. I had to make a really good decision about this specific hire. We just promoted our operations manager. She's been working with us for nearly 6 months. I wanted to throw some curveballs at her. She proved herself, now she's promoted. But you know what's interesting? It wasn't until I hired her at the start for a different role that I realized how valuable she was to my company. So again, I realized it kind of fell back to the same principle. I either A, had to keep doing what I was doing and stay on the same revenue level, or I had to make a hire early just to see what she was made of for something else. See if she could prove herself. And then once she'd done that, I was able to promote her to operations manager. So guys, that's literally just off the cuff, an example of me using one of these storytelling methods to agree with him, agree with the value within my own reality, right? Without even, because the thing is, it's also about being honest. What I just said is completely real. There's parts of things that I make decisions quickly on, and there's parts of things that I take my time on, right? Every human is multifaceted, and then what I do is I influence your subconscious mind by sharing a story. Okay, how do you tell customer really connects with the story? So again, neediness reeks, but independence attracts, right? So it's actually not about trying to make the person connect with the story, because it's a primal law. Even Tony Robbins, who literally is a billionaire that trains people in storytelling and what we call formal hypnosis, by the way. That's the technical term for NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and things relating to storytelling, right? So this is like high-level sales stuff, but it's called formal hypnosis. When you are influencing with the subconscious mind via storytelling, you are entering someone into formal hypnosis, right? So because it already is a primal thing, you don't have to worry about, I hope that they like my story. No, F that. It's very simple. If you've mastered your story and you know yourself enough, no matter how simple or boring your life is, you're still a human with a one-of-one experience. Again, my loop when I was 22, 23, cracking my first $500,000 a year in revenue in my business, it was, I'm a 23-year-old, 22-year-old, ex-athlete, played basketball in the States. I used to play music. I've been a tenacious competitor in music and sports for 10 years, started the business at 19, head of sales at another company. Look, and then I show them the content. I show them pictures of my broken bed at 21. I show them the progress, right? Whether they like it or not, that is who I am. And congruency, right after love, is the highest vibration that humans can communicate, right? So there's levels of actualization. At the top is love, right? At the bottom is, desperation, it's hunger, it's being able to use the bathroom to relieve yourself. But the higher you climb in consciousness, the more you realize that authenticity sells. Authenticity is a very high vibration, and you can be authentic by mastering your anecdotal story. And that allows you to influence the subconscious mind. How do you pick which customer story will matter the most? How do you pick which customer? Good question. That's a very good one. So that would go into the similar identity bucket, and that's work you do before the call. So for example, say you've mastered anecdotal. Hypothetically, you're kind of got to practice. Like I like hypothetical, but that's why I put it at number 3. Right? That's why I did these 2 first. Right? Hypothetical, the more reps you do, the more you're going to be able to be like, oh, I know. Look, let's talk about 2 scenarios. Scenario A, scenario B. Boom, scenario A is you do the same thing that scenario B. But like in that situation, you want to use similar identity and you want to prep before the call. So let's just change industries. Let's just say it's a swimming pool owner. And the swimming pool owner, has another swimming pool competitor that signs up all the private schools and he wants the private school money. So what I'll say is, hey, listen, John, before we hopped on this call, I'm going to be honest, I actually looked up your competitors. And 5 of them have and I'm using Google reviews just because I've been pitching all kinds of things. Google reviews is easy. They have 500 Google reviews, you have like 10, right? Are you aware of that? Okay, cool. Is that something you don't care about, or is that something you would like to do? Okay, got it, respect. So if that's the case, John, my only discussion today, if I have your permission, is to focus on how we can get your Google reviews from 10 to 500, or maybe even 1,000, so we can double them. Is that okay if I spend? Okay, great, let's go on. So that's how you do it, right? You want to make sure that you are doing the pre-work, but with enough skill, you're just going to know the industry so well. Like, for example, if someone talks to me about like the NDIS, I'm like, look, if you're doing under 50 participants, let's be honest, if you're doing aged care and you have 50 participants, yeah, the client volume is great, but you're not that profitable. Here's how you get profitable for real. We worked with A, B, C, and D. This is where they didn't get profitable. They opened up this division. We did a sub-agency for them with a new branding. So it was an alias company, so all the leads were flowing through that company to them. That's how they did it. That's how you're going to want to do it. And if you don't want to do it, I completely respect that. There's another 3 people that will. Now that conviction comes with time. But that's why I'm saying you're better off mastering anecdotal and single identity with preparation. And then by the time you get the hypothetical, you're going to be closing shit like a hammer, like closing. Okay. What do you think makes a story stick in someone's mind? So as I mentioned before, there's something called the hero's journey, right? So what happens is there's a current reality. That current reality gets disrupted, or rather there's a current identity gets disrupted. Then the protagonist, or the key character, then has to build with the new context a new reality. And to build that new reality, he's going to face adversary, pain, anger, guilt, elation, happiness. But by the end of that come up, he now creates a new identity that fits a new reality, right? So when following a story, and again, we're not going too much into like the technicalities of how to tell a story, but basically, you're not going to be able to see this, but basically it starts from A, so A, which is current reality. Let's just write current reality. So it starts with current reality, disrupted, so CR, disrupted, which causes to new identity, which then leads to new reality. Okay, so that's the general kind of formula for storytelling. Okay, so, general reality gets disrupted, new identity creates, new reality.